Hey everyone, you're watching We Had That, and today I'm going to talk about the 2009 Masters of the Universe Classics Scareglow action figure. Scareglow is easily one of the top figures that I wanted for my Masters of the Universe Classics collection, but for the last few years, the prices have just been higher than I could afford. I've built up a small collection of Scareglow figures, but until recently it didn't include the Classics version. A few months ago at ToyLanta, a friend of mine worked out a complicated trade deal that involved several people, resulting in my being able to purchase a complete classic Scareglow figure for the price I'd been trying to pay for several years. A lot of casual fans of the Masters of the Universe weren't even familiar with Scareglow in the 80s and 90s because by the time the original Scareglow came out in 1987, the Filmation cartoon was no longer on the air, so Scareglow was never in the cartoon. This was a later wave of figures, so Scareglow only made it into one of the mini-comics that came with the figures, and honestly, the line was coming to an end, so not as many figures were in stores as had been just a few years earlier. Unlike many of the figures that came out near the end of the original Masters of the Universe line that required new tooling for new body parts and gimmicks, Scareglow's gimmick was just that he glowed in the dark, so the only new tooling for this figure was his head, which was unique to Scareglow. Scareglow came with a halberd, which was molded in either green, or sometimes, and most likely only outside of North America, in white. But even that piece was originally an accessory for Castle Grayskull, so no new tooling was even required for his accessory. According to his card back and the story in the one mini-comic that included Scareglow, The Search for Keldar, Scareglow was so terrifying that his enemies were petrified in fear in his presence, as demonstrated in the mini-comic when he encountered Prince Adam. Adam was so terrified that he couldn't even transform into He-Man. Confusion arose from the tagline under his name on Scareglow's original package, which stated that he was the evil ghost of Skeletor. Some people took this to mean that he was Skeletor in ghost form, and others took it to mean that he was a ghost working in the service of Skeletor. This confusion was cleared up in the Classics line, where they changed the tagline to Evil Ghost Serving Skeletor. There was no figure for Scareglow in either the New Adventures of He-Man line or the 2000X line, so the Masters of the Universe Classics Scareglow was only the second Scareglow figure to ever be released. When Masters of the Universe Classics figures first arrived in 2008, I was only vaguely aware of them. Scareglow came out near the end of 2009, but at that time, I still hadn't started collecting them yet. I first started to consider collecting them when the DC vs. Masters of the Universe 2-packs started showing up at Toys R Us stores in 2010. Prior to that, the figures were for the most part online exclusives, so I didn't see them around very much. At one point, I traded something from my collection, I don't even remember what it was, for a Classics Scareglow and a Classics Teela, both still in the package. I thought they were so cool that I better trade or sell them quickly, or I'd end up collecting that line as well. As the years went by and the Classics figures were nearing the end of their run, I ended up getting a great deal on a small lot of Classics figures, and that's when I finally dove in and started collecting them. It ended up being terrible timing in terms of cost, but I was lucky to get a few good deals. Beastman, Faker, and Scareglow were three of the main figures that I wanted. I was able to pick up an incomplete Faker for a good price, and a few years later, a friend gave me his Beastman, but I just couldn't find a Scareglow for a good price until this year. Although my collection is far from complete, I do have many of the figures that I wanted most, including Classics versions of all 8 of the characters released in the original 1982 wave, and of course Scareglow. The classic Scareglow has decent articulation, but it's somewhat limited by his cape. Because it's a solid plastic cape, there are some poses that he just can't do. On the plus side, he does glow in the dark. The classic Scareglow comes with 2 accessories. The first is a Classics version of the halberd in neon green, and the second is a tube that you can attach by a chain to his wrist with a mini Castle Grayskull for a top. The tube opens up and contains a key which is supposed to open the back door to Castle Grayskull. The back door to the Classics Castle Grayskull could actually only be opened with this key. On the back of the Classics Scareglow card, there's a new biography for Scareglow. According to this, Scareglow's real name is Karek Null. When he was alive, he was a bounty hunter who spent years trying to break into Castle Grayskull. When he died, he was cursed and banished to another dimension, but brought back to Eternia by a spell cast by Skeletor, who was trying to recruit the most evil warriors across the dimensions. I'm happy to finally have this figure in my collection, and I'm curious to hear what you think about the Masters of the Universe Classics figures in general, and Scareglow specifically. Do you have a Scareglow in your collection? Tell me about it in the comments below. Also, please give this video a thumbs up, and if you have a chance, it would be great if you would share it on social media. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe to my channel and hit that notifications bell. And one last thing, if you're a fan of toys, you should know about ToyLanta, the biggest toy show in the southeastern United States, held annually just north of Atlanta, Georgia. Visit ToyLanta.com for more information. As always, thanks for watching.